Here in Michigan, we're encouraged to eat from a lot of the farmers markets, get locally grown food. Quality, not quantity. So it's really the quality of the food. If you're eating foods that are processed, well, of course, it's not going to be quality. So the more fresh things in your diet, the better. Fresh and whole, not processed foods, of course, as you can see. Relish the experience of food. One of the things with the people of the Mediterranean is they like to eat with friends and celebrate. And it makes the food more pleasurable. So you're relating pleasure with food. So they try not to eat alone. They always like to eat with a lot of people. So they relish the experience of eating food. And of course, regular activity, they walk a lot. It's really hilly there, so they're walking up and down hills a lot, keeping in shape. And of course, that's helping them to keep a healthy weight and be physically fit. And of course, just to recap, the benefits of the Mediterranean diet protects from heart disease. It can slow the aging process. So if a lot of ladies out there, I know you want to stay young. If you're eating the foods that are in the Mediterranean diet, you're going to look younger. They have done research studies about that. And it seems to help slow the aging process, promotes longevity, doesn't require a lot of radical changes, and reduces inflammation. Even if you're a person that has a lot of arthritis, there seems to be a connection with the Mediterranean diet decreasing inflammation, which causes arthritis. So if you look at it, once again, the base of it is bread, rice, couscous, polenta, bulgur, the grains, because they like to have a lot of bread in their diet, but it's usually like the whole grains, not a lot of the processed breads. Fruits and vegetables, beans, legumes, and nuts to snack on. Notice here olive oil, it has a whole section by itself. So olive oil itself, using olive oil exclusively in the diet is very important. Cheese and yogurt can be used as well. I know you're hearing a lot about Greek yogurt. If you're eating a lot of Greek yogurt, it has more protein. And then fish, poultry, actually more fish than poultry. You can have some eggs. Sweets are at the tip, not too many sweets. And then actually, even less than sweets is red meat. So even less than sweets is the red meat in the Mediterranean diet, maybe a few times a month. So you have the handout on that. You can study it even more. And actually, the fun thing about it is the Mediterranean diet has wine in moderation, red wine. So a little glass of red wine. The men can have 2 glasses, but the women only 1. So for some reason, I didn't make it up. So it's their thing. So Hippocrates, who was a Greek philosopher back in the ancient Greece years, the father of medicine, he said, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food." So that's something to think about. Let the food be something that helps you stay healthy by eating right. And let it be your medicine too, like the olive oil and beautiful herbs and fresh food. Let that be your medicine. So we'll get on to any questions? Yes. If you have any, feel free to ask any questions if you think of anything. I'm willing to talk with you even after you want to talk after. If you have any questions, I'm available too. So if you want to turn to your spinach pie, is everyone having a nice lunch so far? Looks good. Looks colorful. Not quite Mediterranean?
No, it's got a little Mediterranean.
A little, okay, that's good. That makes me happy. Now I have some Mediterranean foods here for the spinach pie. I'm sure everyone here has had some spinach pie in the past. You like spinach pie? Oh, good. Okay. That's good to hear. So for the ingredients for spinach pie, we're going to need some onions. We'll need some herbs, which I brought some fresh herbs from my garden. Actually, luckily our weather hasn't gotten too cold where the herbs have been all killed off. So I do have some mint and dill from my garden. Feta cheese. I got that actually from the domestic market, so it's like not the dry kind, it's the really good stuff that they have in the barrels. I brought some olive oil from Kalamata, where they exclusively make olive oil, and are very known for their olives. Phyllo dough. The spinach, of course, I'm going to chop that up, and I'm going to show you a really easy way to make spinach pie and spinach rolls, which are really popular. So starting out, I'm just going to have, and this only takes one bowl, so you can just put everything in one bowl, and then I'll show you from there what to do next. So starting out, just take my French knife and chop my onions. Make sure to chop the ends off. And I love cooking from scratch. Oops. That's, I think, the best way to cook is from scratch. You're getting all these fresh ingredients. And you can make these ahead of time and put them in your lunch for the next day. Because I know you're all really busy with your time and your schedules. Sometimes you're not able to make food in the morning. You can always make this in the evening before. And I just take my herbs. I take the mint off. Mint and dill go together very well. They complement each other. I don't know if you can smell the mint. It's really strong. I don't know if you can smell it in the back. And always take your stems off. And once you have everything cleaned up, you can just roll it together and chop it. And this is going to be the filling for the spinach pie, everything together. It's called spanakopita. Yes?
I was going to say, do you prefer using fresh or frozen spinach, or is the texture different? I've only used the frozen.
You can use frozen if that's all you have available, but I like the fresh spinach now, mostly. Right now I'm using the baby spinach. But if you don't have a fresh available, frozen would be the next thing, but usually canned is not as good. Don't use canned spinach. Yeah, it won't work as good. We'll save the canned spinach for Popeye. Yeah. So basically I just chop it. Got my spinach in a bowl. Spinach, of course, it's a great source of B vitamins. It's an anti-cancer food. And next, after I have my spinach chopped, it's really simple. You take some of the feta cheese. I got a nice big block of feta cheese. This is the really good stuff. You have to try a little sample of this. It's really moist, and when you slice it, it just falls right off. Great for the Greek salads. You just take it and crumple it right on top. And luckily I have my gloves on, so I can just mix it. And feta cheese, it's a lower fat cheese. So it's a good source of calcium. And then the next step, once I have my feta cheese crumpled, then I'm going to break 4 eggs. go in your mix too. This is also a great mixture for omelets. If you like to make omelets, a Greek omelet, this would be very good for that. Number 4. And then to finish off the mixture, I'm going to use juice from half of a lemon. Oops. So I'm used to being in the kitchen and making a mess, so here I feel bad making your office. It just feels like being in an office. But you know, when you make a mess, that means the food's good. As you see. See, healthy can be delicious. Okay, so now to the next step, I'm going to show you how to do the phyllo dough. It's really interesting how to work with phyllo dough. So once you have your mixture ready, you can take your gloves off. And how many of you have worked with phyllo dough before? Okay, so a few people. Yeah, it can be a little tricky. So you need a open surface. You just phyllo is actually just doughs of sheet cut very thin. So you want to open it up, and you should work quick with it because it can dry out if you leave it for too long. As you can see, it's just thin sheets of dough cut super, super thin. You can do so much with phyllo dough. You can make desserts with it, like baklava. You can make little spinach triangles, the spinach rolls. It's very versatile. So basically, starting off, you must have a pastry brush. It's very important to have your pastry brush. And now's the time for the olive oil. So have a bowl, fill it with olive oil. And this is the good stuff. As you can see, it's super green. It means that it hasn't been overly processed. All the nutrients are all in there.
Is there any specific type of olive oil that you would recommend? There are so many brands out there. Some of them are fake, I understand.
Yeah, some of them, you can tell by just looking at them if they're real pale that they're not as good. But this is extra virgin olive oil from Kalamata. That's where the best olives come from, Kalamata, Greece.
Is that like, can you just get that in the grocery store or?
Well, for that you're gonna go to like a specialty market, some of the Italian markets, you'll find it mostly there. Basically, if you have a 9x13 glass casserole dish, is the best to start off, because you're just making this for home. And always, what you want to do is oil the bottom of your casserole dish, because you don't want this to stick to the bottom, and the sides as well. You just take, at the beginning you can just take like 5 layers, so you want to take 5 sheets. And you don't have to oil them at first, because this is just the crust for the bottom. So there's 1, and 2. And if it overlaps, you can just fold it in. 3. Couple more. And as you can see, I kind of alternate. I go center, left, and then right, so it's all even. Philos is actually a Greek word. It means friend, so the philo is like your friend. And it also means leaf, phyllo. Okay, so next I'm gonna put a spinach mixture inside. Actually, oil it. When you get to the fifth one, you wanna oil it. Make sure to get it to the corners. That's why the pastry brush is so important. You can get the oil distributed properly. And here you put your mixture.
Now, on this recipe that was handed out, this
Yes.
says to cook it in a pan first and wilt all the spinach.
Yeah, well, because we're at time, we have time restraints here, but you can do it that way. There's different ways, but you can cook it if you like first. That way, it's going to get a little bit more flavor. But just because we're,
Okay.
yeah,
So
just,
can you make it like that though, that you're?
but you can make it this way too.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just a quick way.
Yeah.
But I like to, at home, I like to cook it and do it the way the recipe says exactly. Okay, once you have, this is going to be a double, so this is one layer. And then after you have that one layer, the rest of them you want to oil each one. So you just take each one. Fold it in and then brush each layer. Look pretty easy?
Yeah.
See, don't worry about the feel. And after I'm going to do a couple more, and then I'm going to show you how to do the spinach rolls. You're going to really like that.
Do you recommend certain brands of phyllo over?
Well, I'm like using the Contos brand, if you want to try this one, because it holds them together a little bit better. Some of the phyllo, some of the phyllo it flakes, and it's not thick enough. It's a little thicker. Okay, so next, once you have pretty much used most of the phyllo, I'm going to leave a couple because I want to show you the rolls. The one thing about spinach pie is that you have to cut it before it goes in the oven. Because if you don't cut it before it goes in the oven, all the flake, when you try to cut it after it comes out of the oven, all the pieces are going to flake. So this is something you should cut before you put it in the oven. I'll show you how to cut it. Make sure the top one is well buttered, well oiled. Basically using your French knife. You just want to go to the bottom of the tip. And then cut it in squares. You know, always have your oven preheated to 350 degrees, yes?
For the phyllo, is there a reason why you took each one single layers versus counting 5 at one time and just doing it that way?
Well, I wanted, the first 5 were just the crust for the bottom to hold it together. So I didn't have to oil those, but I only oiled.
No, not the oil. You took each strand separately instead of counting 5 at one time.
Yeah, I took each one because now